All right, close all this stuff on the screen here. All right, so this video is going to end up staying up. I'm not going to take it down. It's going to be part of the one of my live uploads. So I got a blue to skin this morning. I got to skin flesh and wash it. And then I got 2 ducks. I got a mallard and a pintail. If you see the video pause or something like that, it's because I am either texting someone or I'm getting a phone call. But typically in the mornings like this, it's normally just my wife, so she's out of town right now. So hopefully I don't get too many interruptions. But we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. I got the blue. He's already in the fridge. He's already thawed out. The other 2 I laid out last night around 6 o'clock. So they should be ready to go ahead and skin. I shouldn't have any issues with that. Especially once I get done with the blue, because that's gonna take a while. Now I got 80% on my phone. I'm gonna let this thing run all the way down to where I have about 20% left on my phone. And now I'll probably just go ahead and end the stream there. Hopefully I can finish the blue before that happens. So, and maybe go into the duck, but at least with the blue, you might be able to see it. I'm not fancy like all these other big time YouTubers. So I don't have like the thing where you can look down and all that stuff. Maybe I'll invest into it. I more than likely won't, unless somebody gets it for me. But I don't expect anybody to do that for me. But I really need to do something like that, so that way y'all can like actually like see what I'm doing versus seeing my ugly mug. But I feel like I'll go ahead and just talk to myself, I guess, while I do this. I got the dog with me, so if you hear stuff in the background, it's the dog walking around and messing around. So I've been hunting him the past week, pretty much every day. As you all know, if you duck hunt, we're not even going to talk about numbers right now because it is ridiculous of the lack of numbers. So just to teach y'all something, I tell everyone pretty much that walks over to the house and drops stuff off. The best way to save a bird for a taxidermist, honestly, if it's too big for a gallon bag, so far as like if you got something bigger than a teal or wood duck, or a grocery bag, I prefer a grocery bag for ducks. But if it can't fit in a grocery bag, like if it's a pintail or a pheasant or something like that with a long tail on it, you can bump up to a trash bag. Some people use the 2.5 gallon bags, but normally people don't have that in their household. So it's not like something you just randomly pull out of your cabinet. Some people may buy that stuff on a regular basis, but I know we don't. So really just a trash bag is fine, bag-wise. Now the other thing is, there's tons of different tips to try to keep the most pristine bird from getting messed up. Especially right as you harvest it, as soon as you pull the trigger, right? Of course, you don't want to be shooting a blue-winged teal with BBs because you're going to pillowcase it. And then if you're hunting with a dog and you know that you're trying to kill a mallard to get it mounted or whatever species that you're killing, if you're hunting with a dog and you know that you shot the species that you know, the duck or the goose that you want, then you don't want to send the dog, because half of them, when you go through hold training with them, you can tell if they're a heavy mouth dog or they like to chew, or if they just won't keep it in their mouth and bring it directly to you, they'll keep dropping it and that sort of thing. So What that will do is eventually it will knock off feathers and continue knocking off feathers. And obviously you want to keep as many feathers on the bird as possible. So the less you knock off, the best. Now, if you're shooting birds in the early season, a thing that you have to keep in mind is early season is birds are still growing their feathers. And especially if they're juvenile, they're going to have tons and tons of pen feathers. And pen feather is pretty much a feather that's growing. And it has like a wax casting on it that connects to the skin. And when you go through the taxidermy process, it's actually pretty rough on the feathers, to be completely honest with you, because, you know, I'm skinning it. I have to wash it in a sink using Dawn. I have to hit it with a shot vac going against the feather to dry it before I mount it. And then mounting it, of course, I'm pulling on it and, you know, moving things around and all that stuff. So you're going to lose stuff, you know, lose feathers on an early season bird. That's just no doubt. What other big tips? Wrapping the feet in wet paper towels. That's like the biggest tip I can tell people, because like this goose was just killed not just a few weeks ago, and like you can tell its feet are still fresh. They haven't gotten freezer burn, anything like that. So now if it sits in the freezer forever, I need to get more Windex. If it sits in the freezer forever, what they'll do is they'll they'll lose color, they'll start to dry up, and it just makes it really hard to get them to look natural. Yeah, you can inject it with warm water and Dawn to try to bring them back to life, puff them back up before you have to inject them. But if you just wrap them in wet paper towels, you don't really have to worry about that. No matter how long that they sit in the freezer, they'll be fine. So what I'm doing right here, that's pretty much my tips for saving a bird. But really, you just wrap it up. You can put the head underneath the wing or on the back. And then use a trash bag, grocery bag, or a 2.5 gallon Ziploc bag. And then just put it in the freezer. Contact your taxidermist and let them do the work. But what I'm doing right now, so I use Windex, and as you can tell, I blow through Windex like crazy. Windex makes it easier to get my line, my split, so that way when I make my incision, I'm not cutting through the down feathers underneath the actual main feathers. But Windex is like perfect for it because it gives it like that. It gives it like that sudsy feeling, almost like soapy type water, and it makes the feathers just split a lot easier. Some people use soapy water, some people just use water, and some people don't do it at all. They just run the knife right on down the feathers, that I've seen on videos at least. But I like using down. I don't know why he's not wanting to split right. Everything's all crossed over. I got crisscross applesauce over here. It's kind of annoying. It should be done already. But I'm watching the chat, so if y'all got any questions or whatever, I'll be glancing up to see what y'all are asking or talking about. Also, this bottle, that little nozzle thing is like, see if you can see it. It's like all twisted, so you have to hold it in a certain angle. And I tried to adjust the head so that way I can just hold it normal and squirt the Windex, but whatever. I should have went and bought a new bottle yesterday, but we'll just run it. Why are the feathers doing this? This is wild. I've never had this much issue before. They don't want to split left and right. all of them want to keep laying to the left. That's wild. And I'm on the line where I need to be, which is the top of the chest bone. Strange. I'll get most of them moved out of the way, and then I can just go around them with the X-Acto knife, make my line the way it should be. Not too worried about it. One bad thing about doing geese is that I feel like geese have more down feathers than ducks. So when it comes to like drying, hitting them with the shot vac after I gas them, it takes forever. I'll sit there with the shot vac for almost 45 minutes to an hour. And that's after I've gassed them too. So normally the gas makes them dry out like super fast. And by super fast, meaning like I can shot vac a duck in like, 20, 30 minutes. But geese, on the other hand, nope. Where am I at? That battery's dying fast. Yeah, I wish y'all could see this. This is wild. I've never had feathers all like do that, especially on the opposite side of the chest bone. Normally they just want to split and lay the right way, but these ain't wanting to. That's all right. Not an issue. We're just gonna make this incision here. I would be live on TikTok, but I got booted from that. I can't go live on TikTok no more. I made too many people mad doing taxidermy. It hurts people's feelings. I don't know, I may let this run down until my phone percentage is like 50%. It's at 76 now. And then I'll hop over to Instagram, go live over there for a little bit, see what people have to say. But really, I'm doing all this prep work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm skinning. I've skinned about 15 so far just this week. I plan on skinning as much as I can until I have to leave for Virginia for Christmas. And then when I get back, I can roll right into mounting. So this could be my big mounting week when I get back. Try to stay with it so that way people don't have to wait. Keep my wait times down. So pretty much when I make my line, I start on one side, I pinch the skin, and it's almost like you're skinning a deer, really. You just making those cuts, but the thing with this is that you can't really pull too hard, and also you have to work that knife a certain way so that way you don't have to, or you don't puncture the skin. But what I'll do, my first step is to go ahead and get this started, right? So that way I can start getting to the wings and detach those, then get to the legs and the neck. And I'll skin pretty much as far as I can on each one without causing too much stress on the skin. And then I'll cut the neck so that way it's detached from the carcass. And then I will switch to the head and go ahead and make my cuts around the bill, because that normally takes a decent amount of time, especially if you really want that detail on the face and not, like I said, cause a lot of stress on those feathers. You really got to kind of take your time with it. And once I make my incision around the bill and that's freed up and I can get to the point where I'm skinning the head, I go back to like my neck area and I put the chest side down, I flip it up, and then I skin back to the wings, and then I detach the wings, move back, keep going along the backbone, and skin the legs out, and then move back to the rump area, and then knock that portion out to where the tail is completely detached. So then I got the wings, the legs, and the tail detached. The carcass is free. And I saved that, put that on the side, because you got to take measurements and everything of it. And then that's when I go ahead and move back to my head. And the longest part's already done because I prep it right after I do what I'm doing right here. This guy shot this bird with the... If I had to guess that shot size, it's a BB. And pretty big. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and skin out the head. And then once you skin the head, you already got the neck already detached. So you can just go ahead and work down the neck until you can get to the point where you can pull it out. And then that's pretty much it. So then you guys just skin the leg meat and the wings, which that's a whole complete different video. You can't, I can't do that on live. That'd be almost impossible for me, especially with the camera angles and me flipping it around, and it takes some time because you gotta split the feathers off the bone, because the feathers are actually connected to the bone down towards the forearm area. But you gotta detach all those and get all that meat out. One good thing about this blue is that he don't have a bunch of fat on him. I mean, he's got some fat, but it's hardly any. I mean, I can feel the quills are already sticking up out the skin, which is wild. Last snow goose I did, it's a speck. That speck was full of fat. I mean, you want to talk about fat? Shoo! Yeah, he was a fatty. So I'm pretty much done on this part. I'm just doing a little bit extra just to make my life a little bit easier. So what I like to do too is on this back side, see if I can show y'all real quick. I don't know if anybody's watching right now, it's not showing me. But on this back side here, what I like to do is I won't stop skinning right there. See how it's like connected right there in the middle? What I like to do is I'll still pull up on this and I'll skin that back. Because when you're skinning from the back side and you're pulling that back skin on the backbone, you're gonna start pulling on that bottom portion, and when it's close to the incision, you done already made a cut, so you've made a point of where you can cause that cut to start forming into a rip, because it's already started, by you cutting it. So I like to skin mine back a little bit further just to allow me a little bit more stretch, and it's not causing so much tension on the incision where I stop the incision. So I'll skin it back probably about an inch, 1.5. Not like I use a roller or anything, just a glance, just looking at it. And then the other thing is I like to slice that film on the leg too. So that way when I'm skinning, it's already gonna start coming off that leg. So, because getting the skin off the leg is actually fairly easy. It's kind of like a turkey or a pheasant. And it just slides, pulls right off of it. All right, so the sides are done. The back portion's done. Hush. And what I'm going to do now, the side's not done on this side, sorry. What I'm going to do now is focus on, this is my little tip if you're getting into it. And this is what works for me. And I won't ever change this because I feel like it's the easiest for me and how I operate. So this chest portion, get back. What I'll do is right where the breasts start to come together on the front and where the neck forms, what I do is I make my incision to the point where I can get to the beginning of that neck, where the crawl is. And that's how I detach the neck from the carcass. There's many different ways that I've seen people get to that point, because you cannot pull the head back through the neck. It's too big, right? So the only way to do it is to get the neck going the opposite way. So some people, what they'll do is they'll skin the head, cut off the head, and then pull the neck out backwards. Or they do it like me and pull the neck frontwards, right? Other ways I've seen it is some people, I don't know how. I've never seen it done in person, so I wouldn't even try to attempt it unless it was my own personal bird. But what they do is they get to the point where they can detach the legs, the butt, and the wings without even messing with the neck and the head, which is wild to me, because I feel like you'd have to put a lot of tension on different parts of the bird to be able to do that. I could be wrong, but that's just my look at it. All right, so now I got this front part of the bird down to the point where I can see its crawl, I can see the neck, I can see the throat. Here, I'll show you. So I'm not even see if you can see that, but all right, so there it is, right? So what I'll do is I'll turn around and I'll cut the esophagus. I'll cut the esophagus with my knife. So that way that's freed up and my clippers don't have to worry about cutting that. So that's freed up now. And then what I do is I turn around and I still use my knife because that skin is connected to the very front of the bird. And I'll skin it on down to the point where it's just attached onto the back side of the neck. So that way it'll allow me to, when I go to flip it and invert it, it's already detached. So you're not causing a lot of that trauma on the front shoulders. So now I get in here with a pair of clippers, which geese has got some thick necks. So I gotta open these clippers all the way up. And I put my finger on the back side of that neck and cut the neck. So, and I make sure it's cut pretty good. So I keep my finger on that back side. I keep that angle going where I made that cut, and I take my knife and I just very carefully go in here and try to free it up to where it is completely detached. And sometimes if you got like a duck or something like that, you got enough room and you can see down in there, you can make your cut to just the level of the skin. So that way when you go to invert it, it's like perfect. I mean, you can go ahead and start skinning away. All right, now we're gonna work on this head. We're at 72% on this battery. So just to give y'all an update on how much more time I'll be sitting here talking. This is another thing about the bill. That's why if you're gonna get something mounted and it's got a cool bill and you want that bill to look exactly the same when you get it back, if not, more than likely a taxidermist is just gonna spray it the way a mallard should look, or the way the widgeon should look, or even the pintail. But if it's got something crazy going on with the bill, you needed to immediately, after you shoot it, immediately, don't be sitting there talking to your buddies and taking, videos and all that stuff, cheering, doing all the crazy stuff. Immediately take a picture of the bill and save it. All right, all different angles, left side, right side, underneath, frontwards, all that sort of stuff. Save it for the taxidermist, because in that way he can match it. But if it's just got a normal bill, you don't have to worry about it. Like this is just a regular, it's a blue, but it's got a regular snow goose bill to it. But you can tell how it's changed colors. And if I try to match that and I give it back to the customer like this color right here, whew, that'd be kind of messed up, because obviously it looks dead. But so this is when I'm gonna go ahead and make my cuts and start skinning out the head and get it to the point where I can go ahead and skin the head. But that's when I'm gonna stop and go back to skinning the body out. But this right here is what takes a little bit of time doing a head. And the reason why I do that is because it does take time. And if you go ahead and you finish up that carcass, right, and then you start on the head, I'm always worried about that skin drying out on me. So I like to do my process to the point where nothing really has much time to dry or get to the point where I have to rehydrate anything. Like, I could be completely wrong, but being self-taught, that's just my way of thinking, and that's the way I've been doing it now for a hot minute. So I'm just going to continue doing it. So that way I never have to worry about anything drying out. But some people may argue and be like, well, you got, hours before, anything will mess up, or, once you start washing it or fleshing it, like it's going to rehydrate itself. I just don't want to even have to think about it. So I go ahead and get the portions that take the longest prepped and or done, and then do the faster stuff and just be done with it. But what I'm doing right here is I'm just using I'm left-handed, so I'm using my right hand to pull back on that skin just delicately, because they're little tiny feathers on the head, so you can't be rough with it, just to give it some tension. And you can make your cuts that way the skin doesn't roll on you, and you can actually just run that X-Acto knife where it needs to go, instead of making a million strokes and having feathers fall off and get cut and all that stuff. All right, so that half is done. I just gotta do this other half now. And I've done it all different ways. I've done cuts on the face going against the feathers and with the feathers. I feel like going with them obviously is easier, but it's harder because, especially when you're doing the opposite side of the face, I don't know, I think just the angle of it is it's different. Another thing is spreading open this mouth. sticking your finger in and keeping the mouth open when you're doing around like where the cheek is. Because what you're going to cause here is you're going to cause that big old flab of skin to open all the way up. You're going to allow yourself to be able to make a straighter line and a straighter cut around like that opening of the mouth. Instead of letting it close and you're kind of just guessing and doing like a hack job. And no one likes a hack job, right? Another thing is underneath this corner going from the bottom of the bill from that cheek area, you gotta make sure that you make a little slice right there, because sometimes it'll get hung up. And if it hangs up when you're trying to skin, it will and make it a little bit harder when you go to glue it onto the artificial head. I'm not skinning the head, I'm just literally just getting the skin started, so that way when I grab this thing, I already got pieces I can start pulling back. I'm just about done with this now. You just gotta get this other side here. Make sure everything's all freed up. But yeah, duck season this year has been horrible. And when I say horrible, I mean just downright terrible. And I think it goes for just about everyone across the middle part of the states. Like going from east to west, from like Virginia, that whole beltway. They just never migrated south. So I don't think that they just passed you up and they kept going south. They never had any reason to leave the north because it's still warm up there. So nothing got frozen and pushed them out. And if they got a place to eat, a place to rest, and they got water, no reason to leave. All right, I just gotta get this other side of the head and I'll go back to the carcass. Y'all might be able to see what I'm talking about when I get to the neck and flip it. I might have enough time. But if you don't subscribe already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button if you're still watching. Obviously, if you're still watching, you're interested in this, or you just enjoy me rambling. And then I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I do have a TikTok account, but I don't upload to it anymore. And you can go watch the last video and see why. And then I'm on Google as well. So if you have a bird that needs to get mounted or that you want to get mounted, you're more than welcome to hit me up. And we can talk about prices and turnaround times and all that good stuff. Or if you're in a different part of the country, you're more than welcome to hit me up and I'll point you in the right direction. At least someone that I would trust to take my stuff to. All right, so as you can tell, that head it's started, right? All right, so we're gonna stop with that. Now, being that we got this body pretty much ready, I take this head, I flip it on its back, right? And I bring up the front part to the point where I can get to the wings. And you're not gonna be able to see this, even if I had the fancy setup with the way I angle it. Yeah, it's a dog in the background. But I try to get that skin rolling up into the wing bone, because when I go to free those wings and make my cut with the meat, I need something to grab onto. I don't want to just cut the knuckle right where the skin's still attached, because now you're trying to skin something and you got no material to work with. So I'll just free it up a little bit, and I'll do it on both sides before I start messing with the neck and getting that freed up. All right. So this side's good. I could go further if I wanted to, but it's fine. I'm gonna hit this other side here. I don't know, y'all might be able to see this side, maybe. Let's see if I can get the right camera angle. Like I said, I'm not fancy here. I'm sitting here using a binder to set up my phone. All right. So I pull up on that and I can get to, trying to show y'all and then do this is really a pain, to be completely honest. All right. So I pull up on it, and all I do is just work my knife and let that skin start to detach and roll up for me. Get it up over that knuckle. Yeah, he's got a lot of shot in here where it just finished as soon as it busted through the skin. It busted through the skin, it got to the meat, and it just stopped. So that's another thing I like to tell customers too. I like to guess when they come and pick stuff up. I ask them, like, can they remember like the shot size that they used or the brand of shell that they were shooting? Because like Kent has like those silver shots, and a couple other brands have the flight thing that helps it. So it's got like a little half moon piece to it. Pretty wild. Then you got Boss, and Boss is always chewed up. It looks like it came out of like a lawnmower. Sometimes they're split in half, so I can guess Boss a lot. And then I also like to let them know, like, hey, so you're aware, yeah, you killed this bird. However, comma, this is what I saw. You know, I saw that a lot of shot was not finished, not inside, actually inside the bird. A lot of it was still stuck in the skin. So, I mean, a lot of that determines on how far they shot it, how far away it was, their pattern. So if they're shooting like, a full choke, or versus like a modified or something like that. So it just gives them a little bit something to think about. So if they're shooting at tons of stuff and they ain't killing much, but they happen to kill this, you might want to think about either a different type of shotgun shell, or tightening up your pattern, or shooting them closer. So when that shot goes through that skin and it just sticks there and it doesn't go all the way through, what it does is it hangs up on those feathers as well. And it keeps that feather, it lodges it in the skin. And there's no way to save it. You just got to pull it out. All right. So what I've done here, I got the neck disconnected from the carcass. Like so. The wings are still attached, legs are still attached, tail is still attached. So what I do now is I'll turn around and I'll run my knife right here and bust those, cut those wings loose from the carcass. It's like tendons that hold it on there. I'll do it on both sides. Once the wings are detached, then I can go ahead and start skinning all the way back, get to the legs, detach the legs and then work my way to the tail. But this right here is like, that's the hardest part. Once you get to this, it's pretty much all smooth sailing from there. All right, so my foam percentage is at the point where I told y'all it was gonna be, where I'm gonna switch over and give Instagram some love. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this live and hop over there. But if you're watching this and I'm already like off of live, feel free to hit me up on Instagram if you got questions or want me to do this more often. It's not very often I go live and skin something in front of y'all, so feel free to hit me up. But till next time, I've been Chris. It's been Duckalope Outdoors. Find the birds. Tell me where they're at. Y'all stay safe out there.